Hello there. I'm Don Castle with TriTech SBDC. I'm also a very active member of the Tech Coast Angels of Southern California. Let's assume that you and I are walking into a building together, total strangers. You see me and we both get in the elevator together and you recognize me. Now, you know I'm a member of Tech Coast Angels. You know I invest in startup companies. You're the entrepreneur, and therefore you want to tell me what you do, not with the idea that from our discussion I'm going to write you a check when we finish that elevator ride, but rather I'm going to be so interested in what you do and who you are that I'm going to want to say to you, gee, I'm interested in talking to you further, let's set up a meeting. Now that's the objective of the fast pitch. That's the objective of the elevator speech. They're one and the same. So what I'm going to do right now is run through a list with you of the items you should consider in framing and putting together your elevator pitch. Bear in mind that in some instances you'll have more time than others, and bear in mind also that the list you're about to hear is far more expansive than anything that you'd have a chance to cover in a 30 or perhaps even 60-second time frame. You need to pick and choose, be selective of this list, but there are some things that are very important that you need to make sure you consider. Well, let's run through them. The first thing you want to do is start with a hook. Get the attention of the listener. Now, in giving your first comment of your company and yourself, don't try to be too cute, but say something that's going to be memorable rather than, I'm John Doe and I'm with the ABC company. When you talk about your product, your service, what you do, most important point of the day, use language that everyone can understand. You want to be certain that it's clear. Remember, you're an expert in your field. You know what you're talking about. You know far more, presumably, than the person to whom you're talking. So be sure you use clear language. That is a definite necessary. You need to state the problem or the pain from the point of view of your potential customers. What is the need that exists out there for your product or service so that it's clear to everyone? Obviously, besides your name, because we've already introduced ourselves, you need to tell me your title, and maybe just the title of company founder may be a good enough choice, but it's important that I know, am I talking to the decision maker? You need to describe how you're going to do it better, or cheaper, or faster. What is that product or service? Why is it significant? Most important in that regard, is it disruptive? Disruptive. There's a word that angel investors really like because it shares and tells us that it's something that is going to really shake up the marketplace. And speaking of the marketplace, how big is the market that you're going after? And is your business scalable? How many people have this problem? And how many of those would be willing to buy your product or service? A critical ingredient in this discussion is to tell me how you make money. Sometimes there are explanations of what the company is and what the company does, but at the end of it, gee, that was interesting, but I don't have the slightest idea how they make money and what their revenue model is. Another question is, have you already achieved proof of concept? Are there people out there that are buying the product or that have committed to buy it or the service as well? The way we angel investors like to put it, are the dogs eating the dog food? Another thing is, what is the revenue potential in terms of dollar amount of sales? Now, you may also mention how much of the market you intend to capture, but telling me 5% of the market in 5 years doesn't suggest to me what the revenue out will be and therefore how well you'll do in that regard. The management team is critical, and when we talk about management, we're talking about more than just the active day-to-day full-time individuals. We are also talking about board of directors. We're talking about advisory members or just plain advisors to your company. And it's particularly important if these are individuals who have a renowned reputation in your field. Because the next item that you need to include is who believes in you that can bring credibility to your pitch. Maybe that belief is an important customer that everyone would recognize and respect. Maybe that belief is, again, one of your management or advisory people. Next is, does the package you offer, is it fully complete? Do you have your management team rounded out? Are you market ready? Is your product completed? Do you have paying customers to help seal the deal right now? A lot of times this may be a no in some or all of those categories, but it's very important that you explain how complete the package is that you're bringing to that potential angel investor. What have you already put into the venture in terms of money or sweat equity? And how much money do you need, and what are you going to use it for? A lot of times people tell us, well, I need X number of dollars, but they don't tell us where it's going. And that is a very critical ingredient as well. Again, as I mentioned at the outset, it's very important to recognize the list that I just ran through is very expansive. There will be a number of areas that are not applicable in every case to you in your particular situation. So pick and choose, but pick and choose wisely. And again, with language we can all understand. Remember, the purpose of the elevator pitch is to give your listeners enough information to get them excited, to want to meet with you, to want to learn more. In other words, you need to tell them what time it is and not how to make a watch. I'm Don Castle, Senior Consultant for TriTech. We look forward to hopefully working with you and meeting the needs you have. Thank you.